Welcome into the Source to Say podcast, your go-to Kentucky basketball podcast on the KSR Podcast Network, presented by our friends at Parlour Pizza. Shout out Parlour Pizza. Shout out JBJ's here in Nashville on Broadway. Unbelievable night, day one of 6 at the SEC tournament. We're going to speak it into existence, folks. Jack Pilgrim here with Zack Geoghegan and Steven Peake. How the heck are you, bud?
I'm doing great. We have a nice collection of some UK fans that have showed up for us. Hold on, I got to make sure my mic is... There we go. Okay, I got it. We got a nice collection of UK fans that have showed up to hang out with us, and I'm ready to hopefully watch a Kentucky win tomorrow. We've got... I feel like my mic is going in and out right now. Do I need to point it somewhere? What do I need to do here, Steven? We're doing this live on the fly right here.
Fine,
okay. The YouTube mic is working, so we're going great. But yes, we saw LSU practice. They did a bunch of half-court shots for about 30 minutes earlier today, but we are ready to watch some Kentucky basketball tomorrow at, 11:30 Central Time. So hoping for a Big Cats win, but we are glad to be here at JBJ's. First real SEC tournament live show that we've done that's not from the rooftop of whatever Airbnb we're at. So this is nice.
It sucks. The circumstances suck. We're not going to put lipstick on this pig that we don't want to be here on a Tuesday night. This is the first time since 1979 that Kentucky has played on a Wednesday at the SEC tournament. But
what happened that year?
If we're looking for the bright side of this, and this is going to be an optimistic, uplifting, happy show.
Oh, okay, I got to change my notes then.
Yes, no, it's only positivity. Kentucky, as a Wednesday start, went on to the championship game in forced overtime. So being here 6 days is very much possible.
Yeah, absolutely. And they only have to win 5 games in 5 days, so we can look at it that way a little bit. Yeah, but it's going to be tough because you're staring down a Florida quarterfinal matchup on Friday if you can get that far. Missouri tomorrow, or on Thursday if you can make it that far as well. So I fully expect Kentucky to beat LSU, and then after that it's going to be kind of a how do we feel going into it type thing. But it's happened before. Kentucky has done that before. They have been able to make it to the championship game, so why not this year? Why not continue on the streak?
So, Steven, I don't know if we want to try the microphone balance back.
There we go.
But
we're going to make this work.
There we go. We got this. So this matchup, it's all about the Malachi Miracle. 18-point comeback. It was the highest of highs and the lowest of lows in Baton Rouge. How are we feeling? Are we more focused on why we got down 18 points against a bad LSU team, or the unbelievable comeback that led to Malachi's game winner at the buzzer?
Yeah, we beat them by, 19 from the 19-minute mark on, so let's just keep that run going into this game, and don't make Kentucky fans sweat too much. I know there's a lot of Kentucky fans who probably are going to try to make the trip down Wednesday night, so let's don't spoil that. Let's don't make them come down here so that they can watch LSU take on Missouri. So that's what I'm worried about. I'm worried about getting down. You got down by 18 one time to them. Let's don't repeat that performance. Let's jump out to an early lead. You're way better than LSU. It should be an easy win for Kentucky. So I'm optimistic in that, at least with this game.
Yeah, D. Thomas out for the year. We got another Robert Wright III, I believe. But Robert Miller,
a lot of Roberts out there.
Out for tomorrow's game as well. So things are trending in terms of personnel, things are trending in the right direction for Kentucky in a major way. We could, here in a minute, get some good news on Cam Williams. We heard from Mark Pope early today that Mark Pope says that Cam Williams, there is a very real chance he plays for the first time in 6 weeks. Think about this. He breaks his foot against Texas, and 6 weeks later he undergoes surgery to repair it. He works his way back. He ditches the boot. He turns a jog into a run and starts practicing again and says, all right, hey, I think I'm in position. First off, just the guts of a kid to work his way back and be in position to be a game time decision, first of all. But second off, the potential impact that he could make for the Cats tomorrow.
Yeah, it's definitely awesome to see a kid that actually wants to play. The whole Darren Peterson stuff going on. To have a kid that actually seems like he wants to play, wants to come back, wants to give it a shot is awesome to see. And he's a potential impact player as kind of a guy that can play both ends of the floor. really good three-point shooter that we've seen that was starting to come along a little bit towards the end before he got hurt. Obviously a great defender with his size and length. So he's a guy that can really make an impact in March. And so it would be awesome to have him back. And it just extends Kentucky's depth a little bit. They're kind of riding a 9-man rotation, 8-man really, depending on how much Pope wants to throw Trent Noah in there. So you add another body in there to help with this whole fatigue thing that's going on that just keeps coming out of Mark Pope's mouth, is that word fatigue for whatever reason. So that is something that Kentucky's going to have to battle. Like, that's going to be a real thing if you want to win 5 games in 5 days. You can't burn out Otega Owe playing him 39 minutes and Denzel 39 minutes and Colin Chandler 35 minutes against this LSU team if you want to make a deep run. So having another guy that can come in and take a little bit of the ball handling responsibilities in Cam Williams will definitely help, and just help along the line and making sure that guys are going to be healthy enough and have enough energy and stamina to try and make that push to get across the line. But there's also like the fact of you don't want to lose tomorrow, so you don't want to play your guys fewer minutes and then suddenly you're out of the tournament already by Wednesday afternoon. So there is kind of that line to toe that Pope's going to have to deal with. It'll be tough, but if you can get Cam Williams back, it definitely helps in terms of being able to manage that depth in the rotations. And no offense to Trent Noah, who finally got some shots to fall, but you'd rather see Cam Williams out there than Trent or Jasper Johnson or whoever else is kind of down that line. Or even, if I'm being honest, Jack, I know he's your boy, but Andrea Yelovich, you'd probably almost rather have Cam Williams out there, even if he's coming off a broken foot,
Yeah. It's tricky, Steven, because Cam, I think my understanding of the situation is that Cam could have given it a go against Florida, but didn't want to push it, didn't want to put himself in a position to try too hard too quickly and then be out for this run. It's such a difficult thing to manage and navigate, where he's so valuable, but how much is too much for him this quickly? Every day, every minute that he's not on the floor is a little bit extra rest for him, for that breakthrough moment, for that time of saying, okay, now is the time to unleash Cam Williams and know the versatility and the shot making and all of the things that he brings to the table. So I think they would. I expect him to be questionable or some type of available going into tomorrow, but I don't think that they would prefer to play him against LSU.
Really?
I don't think they would prefer to play him against Missouri unless they have to. But if they get in a position, if they get into a pinch where, hey, we need a defensive stop, we need somebody to come in and make a shot, we trust Cam to be that guy. So I think.
So would you say he's only going to play a few minutes, even if he does play?
I think their dream scenario is that it's not competitive tomorrow, and they're able to build a 20-point lead and get Cam some nice run at the end of the game. I think that would be the picture perfect scenario for the Cam rollout. But if they find themselves in a position where they're somehow down by anything, they say, well, shoot, all right, our other option is us losing and going home today. So what are we going to do? So I think they're going to try to hold that one in their back pocket as long as they can, even once we get to Missouri, and then go all full go against Florida, if they can get to Florida.
That's what I was going to ask. If you get to Florida, does Cam Williams then play 18, 20 minutes?
12, 15, something like that, I think would be awesome. I just, the possibility, even just talking this into existence is so cool. We're 6 moves. He had surgery on a broken foot 6 weeks ago.
It's wild.
He's going to be available. He's going to go through warm-ups, and he's going to potentially play 6 weeks later. It's awesome. It's a very cool story. I'm happy for him. You talked about the fatigue issue and how that's potentially impacting the rotation. Jalen Reese played 55 minutes in a triple overtime game for LSU. Fatigue is not going to be on LSU's side. They have been through the ringer. This is not a good LSU team. This is one that... Did you get the vibe watching them at practice today, Steven, of somebody that looked hungry for winning 5 games in 5 days?
As much crap as I've given Kentucky for not going to that shoot around, watching LSU shoot around made me go, yeah, you can skip it.
I feel pretty stupid.
Yeah. I mean, here's why you should do it. Because we're idiots. That's why you should do it. Because we're going to make it a bigger deal. I mean, fans. The fans are going to... If you lose to LSU, people are going to be like, and you don't shoot well, they're going to be like, hey, you shot 16 for 60 last time you were in the building. Maybe you should have got a few shots up the day before. But just watching LSU just lackadaisical... How much of that shoot-around was them shooting half-court shots? Most of it?
10 minutes of the 40.
Yeah, so I did kind of... Brandon's always right. What am I going to... Brandon Ramsey, if you're watching, you're right again. So, not that big of a deal. And, watching them, they kind of look like a team that's... how did you describe St. Peter's that year?
That's my concern, man. I don't want to say anything dumb. I said it was a name-your-score game going into it, so I will not be saying that going into this one. 16 seed, though. Like, same kind of vibe.
Well.
But I won't be saying that. But there wasn't a lot that made me pessimistic about Kentucky's chances, I'll just say that.
Yeah, and that was Saturday when they played their triple overtime game. Like you said, it was Jalen Reese who's there, he's their Denzel Aberdeen from what McMahon was telling us today. He's kind of a guy that was an off-ball, more of a two-guard, combo guard who's kind of taken over and become a point guard for them, and he's done it pretty well. But he played 51 minutes, and they had a couple other guys in the high 40s. So they've, like you said, they've played a lot of minutes, but they don't have anything to play for necessarily because unless they win 5 games in 5 days, they're not going to the NCAA tournament. McMahon's hot seat is red. It's burning. It's on fire.
As soon as the final buzzer comes in, the AD is going to come in and say,
exactly.
That was your last time coaching.
So that can go a couple different ways. If you're LSU players, you can fight for your coach and lay it all on the line. And if you're McMahon, you can play all your guys the entire game. You don't have to worry about managing fatigue or anything. You're playing with house money right now. So if you want to play all your guys 38, your best players 38 minutes plus, you can do that and just try and wear Kentucky down at the end, knowing that they're going to maybe try and manage a bit. And Pope even said today that he wants to spread out his minutes. He wants to try and get down to, we're probably going to see Trent and Jasper come in and play real minutes tomorrow. Hopefully it's not for extended periods where Kentucky needs him due to foul trouble or anything like that. But LSU has that for them where they're just kind of playing with house money, nothing to lose type thing. So they can come out and really try and just bury Kentucky and run them into the ground a little bit and see how that works. I don't think it'll work because LSU's a very bad basketball team. The stats are horrendous. I think they were 3-15 in the SEC was their record. And they are they're not very good on either side of the ball. So it all should play into Kentucky's favor. And had the last 2 games not gone as poorly as they did for Kentucky, I think would be looking at this game a lot differently because Kentucky should beat this team by double digits. It's kind of shocking that the spread is only 6.5 or whatever it is.
Yeah. With our friends at BetMGM. Appreciate BetMGM for that line. Steven, in terms of real optimism, what is your actual expectation? I know we're going to put our blue goggles on and talk ourselves into a championship run this Sunday, but what did you...
11-0.
Hold on, we got...
Big update.
Whoa.
Two updates.
Whoa.
We have Cam Williams is officially...
Whoa.
Probable...
And
to open the SEC tournament.
Yes. Do you want to read the next one?
Man, how awesome is that?
Yeah, and the other one.
Brandon Garrison's also probable, but
yeah, woo!
All right, I like the excitement. I do like the excitement, but there we go. Cam Williams. So does that change your level of optimism going into the week?
Well, because I already kind of knew this from you. My bad. Jack, just finding out right now. I'm hearing about this for the first time. It does. Because I think that if you have Cam Williams in several of these games down this, what is it, 5 of the last 7 they've lost?
Yep.
I think he flips maybe 1, maybe 2. He turns all of them into wins, I guess, also. My optimism, admittedly, is really low right now. I'd like to see them win 2 games, which, guys, as sad as that is, that would be the most wins we've had since 2018.
Woo!
So, and it's very possible. It's the best chance of Kentucky winning 2 games in this tournament since 2018. You almost can't help but be pessimistic.
That year too.
They won the SEC championship,
so
they won 3 that year, and we haven't won 3. And if you upset Florida, there you go. It's the first time you win 3 since 2018.
Can we hang? Or are we going to hang a banner for that?
Probably don't hang any banners. No, but
Later to Saturday.
This, I was telling Zach when we were walking around right after the LSU, tough practice they went through, real grueling 40 minutes. I said I should be.
What did Will Stein say? 6 minutes of hell.
Yeah, 6 seconds of hell.
Yeah, that's
40 minutes of whatever that was. I told Zach I should be way more excited about this. I had so much excitement as everyone else did going into this season. I thought this week was going to be so much fun. I love the SEC tournament. I almost like it more than the NCAA tournament because the NCAA tournament is way too stressful. But the SEC tournament, one, Kentucky dominates it usually, and second, you lose, you got more games left. So I always look forward to this week so much, and I told Zach I should be more excited, and I'm not, because I know Kentucky's not going to win it. Like, I know that. We're here to win a couple games and try to improve a seed, but we got to get back to winning.
See?
We got to get back to competing for this and having double byes again. We have to.
See, I like her excitement. She said, why do you think? Why do you know Kentucky's not going to win?
Yeah, why do you know, Steven?
Why? Because they're going to have to win 5 games in 5 days, and that's just not going to happen. But that's okay. We'll win a couple. We'll have fun here, and we'll have our longest stay since I've been a part of the KSR crew. So.
Negative. We don't like it. The vibes are so just immaculate down here. The lights are bright. The drinks are going down nicely. We got Kentucky fans. I was a little nervous, Zach, about the number of fans. Kentucky. I did not see a lot of blue when we first got here.
Correct.
That scared me quite a bit. But here recently, on our walk over, we started seeing some. We got plenty up here on this roof up at JB James. I'm starting to think that Kentucky fans are going to make the most of this tough situation at Bridgestone Arena tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah, well, we're not used to being here on Tuesday ever, no matter the situation, So, but yeah, like you said, didn't see too many walking around, but it was Tuesday afternoon. People getting off work, you got to get down here. But now that we're up here, there's some fans walking around. They've come to watch your show and hang out with us.
Show.
Oh, it's your show, Jack. I know we can't show it, but there's just a beautiful neon Sources Say logo over there that Steven drew up that does look pretty. But I think Kentucky fans are going to show up because it's still Nashville. This is a mini vacation for a lot of people, and now you just kind of get to come down one day early. It's not like this is a Tuesday night, and this place is. I can look it up and down, and there's lines already for all these bars. So people are going to be out here. They're going to be ready to party and hang out. And I do think it's nice that because last time we were here, they had all the late games, so we couldn't do anything. Us in particular, we couldn't go out and really party that too much. So now we got the early game. If Kentucky wins tomorrow, we'll sit around, do a little bit of work, and then go hang out and enjoy hang out. Yeah, do this again with some Kentucky fans. We will be back here, win or loss, right?
Yep.
Win or loss, we will be back here tomorrow, same time at JBJ's to do this all again. So, but Kentucky fans, they're going to start rolling in tomorrow morning for sure. They'll be here. There will be a big contingency. Steven actually had on the Oklahoma-Kentucky game from last year before we came in.
Trying to get excited.
Right, folks, for those that don't know,
there's a lot of fans
of Steven's just weird obsession, man. We were in our Airbnb. He turns it on the Oklahoma game last year, and he is live.
He was complaining about pick and roll coverage.
He's going, "What was that, Kobe? Amari? Come on, bro. That was not a foul. Come on, bro." It's you do understand this game happened a year ago.
You were there for it.
And
Kentucky won. Yes, you know how it ended.
Roster anymore, right? You do understand. So the passion is where it needs to be, but it needs to be flipped to optimism. And here's my take. BBN deserves an extended stay in Nashville. More importantly, how Kentucky has played at Bridgestone Arena here as of late, how they played in Nashville the last 3 times for a combined, what's the number, Steven?
One win in 3 tournaments.
No, I'm saying in the city over the last year.
Oh, okay.
The last 3 times we've been here.
What is it, 89 points?
89 points, but
61 in that building.
64 points combined
64.
in that building that Kentucky's lost by their last 2 times. Gonzaga 35 points, 29 points against Alabama in the SEC quarter semifinals.
It was 29.
29
yeah, it was 29. Yeah.
BBN deserves better, and I think Kentucky is going to give them the performance that they're looking for tomorrow.
The best way for Kentucky to have an extended stay was to show up on Wednesday. That was the best chance for them to do it, I guess. So there you go. You get a 16 seed in the first round. You're going to play a very winnable game against Missouri. So there's some room for optimism. But I will say, last year's game, we only got 1 win, but it gave us this unbelievable moment. And in these SEC tournaments, you can go through the years, going back to Cal, to Rick, that there's usually just one game anyway that you have something crazy happen that gives you this amazing memory. And we got that last year. So I hope it doesn't come down to a buzzer beater against LSU. But if it does, there's our one memory. But it would be nice to, if you're not going to win it all, give me something like that. Because I was having, just rewatching that game, I was having anxiety. Again, I was reliving it, going how we were up by 10 with, what was it, a minute 20 to go? And they allowed Oklahoma to come all the way back and Oweh saves the day. And I still think about what fans would have thought had Oweh not made that shot. This mic's working really well.
I'm glad we got that experience. I hated how the Alabama game unfolded, but I'm glad that we got the experience. I'm glad we get the experience of LG&E and KU. They know that when the lights go out, it can feel like a full court press, but staying in the know is an easy win. Update your phone number in the LG&E and KU mobile app or in my account. If the power goes out, you'll get play-by-play text at 454-358 with outage updates, safety information, and time estimates. For power restoration, can't text, no problem. We'll call the landline on your account with the same updates, so you're never left in the dark, because in the dark there's no defense, but with LG&E and KU, you've always got a team working to get the lights back on and let you know the game plan. Update your number today at LGE-KU/outages. This was the Denzel Aberdine game last time in Baton Rouge. It was his first full-time start. Yeah. Once Jalen Lowe went down, Zach, he's become a brand new basketball player. Went from one of the most, actually, I think probably his worst moment as a Kentucky Wildcat was the last time at Bridgestone Arena with that Gonzaga game, where all the talking points were about these guys only care about the money, they only care about the name on the back of their jerseys instead of the front. And I think just the turnaround with this fan base for him individually has been just awesome to see. What are you expecting from him personally in that head-to-head matchup with Jalen Reese, knowing that there's a real advantage there at the point guard spot potentially?
I think portal mercenaries was one of the words that was used by a certain writer about after that game.
Heartless portal mercenaries.
Heartless, okay, yes, portal mercenaries. But yes, Denzel's been awesome. He really has turned into kind of I don't say a pure point guard because he's still kind of a score-first type guy, but he just doesn't make wrong decisions right now. He does not turn the ball over. His assist-to-turnover ratio is amazing. He should have the advantage, like you said, going against kind of a similar combo guard in Jalen Reese. Denzel's a better player than him, so he'll have the advantage there. You just kind of look up and down the roster of LSU, though, and Kentucky's going to have an advantage pretty much in every aspect of it. They've got a really good shooter in McKinnon. He's kind of their main guy that they'll probably try and run all their stuff through, but otherwise, Kentucky's going to have an advantage in pretty much all regards of that game. Denzel's I feel like we know what we're going to get out of Denzel. I think a bigger talking point going to this one is what's Colin Chandler going to do? Because he has not played well the last two games, and some of it is him, some of it is maybe draft up some more stuff to get him looks, get him going, run some more set plays for him, because he's very much a behind the perimeter player, so it's hard for him to try and be aggressive and get himself to the rim unless he's has a kind of a clear lane for a dunk or maybe a flashy pass. He's not someone that's going to try and initiate a bunch of contact and go to the rim. So if guys are just hugging him on the three-point line, how's he going to be able to combat that? The stat, I think it was Adam Stratton who did kind of an article about it over the weekend, basically saying that Kentucky is 7-3 when he scores more than 10 points, and 3-5, I think, when he is under that mark. So that's kind of a pretty significant indicator and it's similar with Denzel too. McMahon was talking something about his efficiency, when Denzel shoots well, Kentucky wins. Typically, that's kind of how that goes. Obviously, that makes sense because Denzel and Colin play a majority of the minutes for Kentucky. So when those two guys are playing well, I think we kind of know at this point that we have to have at least two of the three-headed goats out there at once in Ortega, Denzel, and Colin Chandler. So I'm more concerned, or I'm more interested to see how Colin Chandler responds in this one after going 1 for 8 in his last two games against Florida and Texas A&M, where they really just said, hey, do anything else but shoot the ball and see if you can beat us, and he couldn't do that.
Steven, we know the three-headed goats. We can add Malachi Moreno into that group.
Okay, AOC and Eminem.
What about the rest? Who else is going to step up? And I don't know if we need to get more cozy to make sure your mic.
Oh, is that the thing? Do I need to sit closer?
I think it's proximity to.
Okay. So does this work?
That's great. Sit on.
Can we get a catch chant going or something? Can we get that?
That's their job.
Hey, let's get that going. Well, let's start over. Let's do it. Let's start it. CATS. C-A-T-S, cats. There we go. We got to just reset the inertia a little bit. I was feeling too negative over there, thinking about.
You were kind of just.
You got to get involved. I got to get
only positive vibes here, JBJ.
I'm sitting next to Zach. His positive vibes are rubbing
on top of Zach at this point. Outside of the three-headed goat and Malachi Moreno, who needs to step up? Who is or are going to be the Wildcats that in that Trent Noah, Jasper Johnson, is it Cam Williams? Who of that next Andrea Yelovich? Who is going to be the guy that we're talking about tomorrow going, that was the guy that put Kentucky over the top?
Well, Jasper and Trent hit threes last time they were here, so that's possible. I do think that Cam Williams could. Are you talking about for tomorrow or for the tournament in general?
Tomorrow, but who's going to... Yeah,
because Cam's got all the attention right now.
Who are we going to be talking about of that next group?
Brandon Garrison's probable, because I was going to say maybe BG gets something going. I do think that I'd like to see Jasper like this. It's a new season. Let's go. I expected a lot more out of him this year, honestly. And maybe there were some bright moments. What do you have, an 8-0 run against Tennessee himself, or he's good for a banked in three every once in a while. But going in, and Zach will tell you, I was very high on Jasper. I actually thought that him and Brandon were doubting him a little too much, and I said, no, he's going to be a star. I see his abilities, and the few times I got to see him play, I thought Jasper Johnson's going to be maybe not quite Rob Dillingham, but he was going to be close to that. Well, here you go. Start over. It's the postseason. Jasper, just go out there and ball, man. I would love it if we could just see a full season under his belt now. Have some confidence. We know he can hit shots. He's not bashful. He'll take them if they're there. So I would like to see Jasper Johnson have a big couple of games here in Nashville.
Same question for you, Zach, because I think I feel like you're giving off a Trent vibe.
No.
That'd be so dismissive.
Well, I mean, it was actually funny when we were rewatching that Oklahoma game. I didn't realize that Trent Noah, Steven even pointed out, Trent Noah inbounded the ball to Ortega. Trent was playing big minutes down the stretch last season because of all those injuries that were kind of piling up late last year. Same story this year again, that's leading to Trent minutes. But I think it's Mo Diabate. He's been a guy that's played a lot, or a lot more increasingly over the last however many games, 5-6 games, something like that. Particularly in the second half, Pope rolls with Yelovich in the first half, lets him get a feel, and then Mo comes in and kind of assumes himself as the closer in that starting lineup. And he's just tough to guard. I mean, he's tough to guard in the sense that he's a 6'7" forward who can dribble, who can rebound, who's really tough, plays really hard. I think we all kind of have many panic attacks whenever he tries to shoot a layup because he doesn't...
Or a jump shot.
He doesn't look at the rim.
Floater or anything, really.
Well, at least on his three-pointers, he looks at the rim, even if they bounce off the rim a couple times and still fall in like he did the last game. But he doesn't look at the rim when he's shooting any of his layups. He just hopes he gets fouled. And sometimes it works, but his effort and energy and his ability to bring the ball at the floor, handled a little bit, kind of get himself in the lane, I think has been a plus for Kentucky, even with some of the negatives that come with it. So I think you're going to see more out of him as this tournament goes along, and he's going to be a big factor. But like Steven said, Jasper can, this is a good game to try and tune it up a little bit. You don't want to go in assuming you're going to win, but you are the better team. You are favored. You should win. So if you get up by a little bit early on, that's when you try and throw in Jasper and say, okay, let's get you some run, let's get you some feel, because it's not like you're going to take another 4 days off after this one if you have a good game. You're going to play into the fire next game. What's going on?
The guys are sad that they can't enjoy your Parlour pizza, but maybe you can. What's your go-to game day order? Hot Honey Pepperoni, of course.
Hot Honey
Are you asking me or are you telling me?
I didn't do that.
I voted for you.
Okay.
Oh, no, somebody else did that?
Yeah.
Oh.
Shout out to whoever's on the KSR.
It's obviously Hot Honey Pepperoni.
Yeah. Hot Honey Pepperoni for sure. Something about Jasper.
Asking how many days we packed for.
I actually packed for 4 nights. I did. I was about to pack for 3 nights, and then I was told to pack for 4 nights. So I did.
Can I be honest?
I didn't bring a suitcase.
Jack brought
1 pair of underwear.
I packed for 10 days. I could live here. I could live here for a month with how much I packed. I am ready for an extended stay.
Jack's ready to go straight from here to Oklahoma City for round 1.
As long as we're not going to Dayton, because I think that would be a.
Is that still on the table?
No, it's not.
Okay.
It's more of just the timeliness than. Yeah, it's a joke. We're past that point.
Okay.
Okay, that's a good talking point. Where are we playing into in terms of NCAA tournament seeding by the end of the week? Win one game, where do things stand? Win two, and what would you feel comfortable with a firm seeding by the end of the week?
Well, Kentucky's pretty firmly on that 7 seed line right now, like kind of anywhere you want to look at it. Joe Lunardi got his little joke in the other day.
Tell the joke for the class.
He was asked about Kentucky and their status and what they need to do to move up, and he made a joke about if you have a $20+ million roster, you have to get the automatic, or you have to be the top guys, the top team in your conference, essentially, to get into the NCAA tournament when your roster is that expensive. Obviously, that's not the case, and thankfully it's not. But he kind of had a point, in terms of preseason expectations were not met. But still, he went on to go say that if Kentucky can rack up a couple of wins, probably 3 wins, because LSU's not going to move the needle. Missouri's kind of a 10 seed. That's going to be an important game for Missouri. What did I say? Tennessee?
You said Missouri.
Okay, Missouri. Yeah, Missouri. That's going to be an important game for them because they're on that 10 seed line. So they want to try and get themselves up. So they're going to need to beat Kentucky to try and improve. So that'll be a big important game for them too. But if Kentucky beats them, I don't think that does much either. So really, it's if you can get to Florida and beat them, then you're really talking about moving up a seed line. But right now, I think even with 2 wins, you're probably still staring down a 7 seed. Maybe it depends on what happens around you to the other teams around you. I know BYU's in that 6 seed spot. They're kind of trending downward. Ironically enough, it being BYU is kind of funny. But so Kentucky could maybe leap them if they steal 2 wins. But if you can get to that Friday game and play against Florida.
What did Lunardi say about the Friday game? Did he say if Kentucky can win?
He didn't necessarily say anything about that. He was kind of implying that they have to win a few games. So he's basically implying that you have to beat Florida to actually try and improve your seeding. So that's going to be a tough challenge because we just saw how that went a few days ago. And Florida is a train right now. They're probably the hottest team in the country. Wagon. So that's going to be a tough game to deal with. But I did find it funny that Lunardi acknowledged that Sunday championship games do not matter for NCAA. No matter how much Seth Davis complains about it on Twitter, those games just do not matter. Lunardi even said that all the bracketology people in the committee are just looking at computers at that point. They're not even watching the games. So all of that is nothing has to do with the eye test at that point. It's all just computer-based stuff. They pretty much already got it all filled in at that point by the time Kentucky's game, or not Kentucky, but if they can get that far, the SEC championship game is over because that's usually an afternoon game anyways. So it doesn't really get factored in at all. But if you want to move up to that 6 or even a 5 seed, you gotta win. You gotta get to Friday, and you gotta beat Florida.
Steven, on the other hand, do they want to play themselves into a 5 seed? And you know the history of all of the seeds and what they mean. And I feel like we've had in our rants in the car driving hours upon hours. At least it feels like weeks upon weeks in some of those car rides. That a 6 seed is almost preferable to a 5.
This year, especially, but yes, yeah. If you can avoid those 1 seeds, and really the 1 seeds this year they're too good. You're not really. Kentucky's not beating one of the top 4 seeds in the tournament. The best chance they're going to have of making an Elite 8 is going through the 2 seeds. The 2 seeds obviously are good too, but they're not nearly. If you can avoid at least the top 2 seed, if you can face the 6th, 7th, 8th best teams, you can beat. Yeah, there you go. I thought I said something else. I didn't know. I was like, oh, did I? Okay, but yeah, if you can go through that path, you actually have a chance of making the Elite 8. I really do think that this Kentucky team can beat some really good teams. I know it sounds stupid and it sounds like we're coping, but they did beat Florida for 38 minutes?
Technically, yeah.
So, I don't expect them to beat Florida, but I'm saying that, that Kentucky's a good team. I thought Florida, when it was 11-0, they were just going to run Kentucky off the floor, and they didn't. So, but you need to avoid 1 seeds like Florida. That's the path. So, actually, yeah, I am rooting for a 6 seed over a 5 seed because I'll take our chances with the 3 seed in the second round. What's the difference between playing a 3 and a 4 in the second round?
Yeah, that's fair. I'd like to play our game that I love doing so much, and that's Guess the Price with our friends at SeatGeek.
Oh, sure.
Is the get-in price for Session 1 of the SEC tournament. We've never been in this position. We don't typically know what it feels like to be here.
So the very first game of tomorrow, what is the cheapest ticket or just a general ticket?
We're going the cheapest get-in price for the general admission to sit at the tippy top of the rafters.
On SeatGeek, I'll say $40.
Steven?
I'll take half of that. I'll do 20.
Get-in price as of right now, $17.
Wow.
$17 to get in to see the Kentucky Wildcats on Wednesday of the SEC tournament.
I bet you. I'm trying to think. How long do you think it's been since getting in to see Kentucky play an SEC tournament game has been less than $20?
I don't. Has that ever happened? There's no way it has happened.
Well, those South Carolina. Well, it's not Nashville, but those South Carolina tickets were not too expensive when Kentucky played in Columbia.
So, okay, if Kentucky's get-in price for the worst possible scenario, Game 1 of the SEC tournament, what is it usually? Like, what is it? What was it last year in Session 1 on Wednesday?
$1.
If Kentucky is $17.
Just show up.
It's got to be, right?
It was probably probably cheaper than $17. But I think that is. I mean, that can draw in some extra. Did I do the 6-7? He just made the hand signal. I think I said it by accident. I'm sorry, but he caught me. Yeah,
he's getting booed.
So it should allow more Kentucky fans to try and sneak in, get yourself in. Like if you're considering coming in tomorrow morning and doing it last second, like you can get a $17 ticket and get your way in cheap. So shout out to SeatGeek.
You could do it with our friends at SeatGeek and get 10% off using promo code KSR10.
$15 ticket. Look
Your next set of tickets with SeatGeek, that's 10% off any tickets with promo code KSR10. Download the SeatGeek app now and take advantage. Restrictions apply. Thanks again to the team at SeatGeek. Zach, the excitement level if Kentucky steamrolls LSU tomorrow, as hoped, as planned, they cover all of the things. What level are we going to be here sitting tomorrow night, assuming Kentucky wins? Excitement factor to build up. At what point do we go, screw it?
If Kentucky wins by 20, we'll be preparing for Sunday.
Right back
tomorrow night.
We should be.
Yeah, we'll be preparing for Sunday if it's a blowout win, which I think is a very real possibility that actually they blow out LSU.
What is the panic meter at? Like, what's the point total?
A loss.
Where you get win by 3? Are you concerned?
Malachi Moreno buzzer beater after being up by 18 points in the first half would be very worrying going into tomorrow's game. Yes.
What's the give me 7 points?
6 points. Yeah, probably. A 2-possession win. I mean, if it comes down, if it's a 5-point game within the last minute and LSU has a real chance to win, I think that would be a little bit concerning.
Any takes from you, Steven?
Survive and advance. That's it. Just get to the second round. You can't lose this game. You were talking about what seeds you could fall to. I mean, do you fall to that 8-9 if you?
I think so. Yeah, I think that's that's what's at stake here. And you don't want that. You
can't. I mean, you cannot. That's a second round loss if you do that. I mean, all 4 of those teams on that 1 seed line. I mean, let's be real. Like, Kentucky could play their best game of the season and still lose those games. So you have to stay off the 8-9. So this game tomorrow does carry a lot of weight for Kentucky and for their NCAA tournament hopes, I guess, or not hopes, but at any hope of having a run, you have to win tomorrow. Tomorrow is almost, if that's the case, if that's what you think it will be, you fall to an 8-9, then tomorrow is like a first round game for the NCAA tournament, basically.
Yeah.
In a way, absolutely.
Big news that came out today, or leaking, or in the process of coming out. There's some talk of a GM position for Kentucky, as we're talking big picture and transitioning from postseason to offseason. I don't think the news of Keegan Brown potentially coming on board, I don't think he's the GM. I think he's more of the player development role that Pope was talking about today at the press conference, your take on the need for something like that, and Pope, what he had to say about adding a job, and how much help he's going to potentially add to his support staff for the roster building for this upcoming spring.
Yeah, I do like that he's bringing in more support staff players. Like, I know he's got the money to, the backing to do it, to go bring in more guys, so you might as well have more minds, more smart guys. Keegan Brown was a guy that was with him at BYU that he got familiar with and trusted, so to help build their rosters. And I believe he played kind of a role in helping build Kentucky's roster last season, the first season. So obviously that went pretty well, kind of doing that on the fly. So I do like the idea of bringing in more guys. They don't necessarily have to be a GM. I'm kind of in the middle of the road in that one of, like, a GM isn't going to fix all your problems immediately, but maybe long term it helps things. It helps take things off Pope's plate, where he can delegate more different tasks that he doesn't have to worry about and can focus more on the actual team. But Keegan's a really smart guy and an analytics-based guy, so that's something that Pope likes, obviously. So you can incorporate him, I think, pretty seamlessly into your staff and whatever role that ends up being. But I'm all for bringing more guys. Like, bring in 5 more guys. Like, bring in a bunch of really smart minds that can kind of tell Pope no, or at least make him think about things a little bit more. I think that's the direction I want to go see, because you've talked about it, Jack. Like, they had 2 guys that were on staff last year that are not on staff now that had important roles in terms of those delegating roles that I just mentioned. So it'd be nice to have someone just help bring in some more fresh takes and fresh minds and help maybe rejuice some things. So I'm all for Pope bringing in more guys, no matter what the role is, if it's an analytical assistant or a GM or whatever it is.
Yeah, I think Pope, if he can do nothing but be the X's and O, I'm going to draw up actions, I'm going to put players in position to be successful on the court and do nothing else, but also go fundraise, go be a politician, go shake hands and kiss babies and be the brand in the face of Kentucky basketball. I think Pope can be a Hall of Fame coach at Kentucky. I truly do.
I do agree with that.
I think he can be that. Where he is messing up is trying to wear too many hats and trying to be something that, to be totally frank, that he's not qualified to be yet. He can be at some point, but I think when year one was so successful, and it was a group, as we watched that video of Oklahoma last year and the celebration of Otega's game winner and just how close that group felt. They felt like, man, they would die for each other, man. This is a group that loves each other. You just don't get that same feeling with them this year. I think Pope saw all of those things. Man, anything I touch turns into gold. This stuff is easy. If I can make Lamont Butler turn into a unbelievable three-point shooter, and who is traditionally a non-shooter leading up to this point, if I can turn that into that, and Amari can become a draft pick, and Kobe Brea can become a draft pick, then I can turn Denzel Aberdine into a draft pick and do the same. I think he got a little big for his britches about his ability to put these puzzle pieces together, and just adding necessary help to say, hey, you're not qualified to do that yet, but let me help you get there.
Yeah.
More the merrier. He's going to have a bench as deep as it is right now, with all the grad assistants and all of the assistant coaches upon assistant coaches. Like we said on a show before, I mean, it got to the point that at the end of the season that the injured players had to be up in the excess seating in Rupp Arena, not on the bench, because of how deep the bench is. If you're going to invest on the court, do the same with off the court as well. I think Keegan is an unbelievable start in that regard. I think adding another, if he's going to be great in terms of crunching numbers and writing contracts and knowing how to navigate the NIL space and using analytics. And
the job is too big now. Like, there's too many responsibilities for these coaches, and he needs to take advantage like the other top teams are doing.
That's a niche thing for him. And then go get an agent-specific guy who does nothing but connect and network and all of the things, because Pope is totally inexperienced with that. And we've seen with this roster, unfortunately, he can't play that game right now.
Yeah.
And with recruiting as well, high school recruiting, we saw Caleb Holt announce today that he's committing to Arizona. Pope cannot swim in those waters yet. He can, but he needs the help and the resources to help make that happen.
Yeah, I mean, having a good season helps to build some cachet for Mark Pope, and I go back and forth with this, and I'll delegate this to you guys also, and if you want to get in the chat as well. Also, just while we're doing this, go ahead and hit subscribe, hit the like buttons, do all the stuff all the YouTubers do. So I go back and forth on this, because part of me is like, well, we never really saw the team. We did see them on the floor together, but Jalen Lowe was obviously the biggest piece of this. I mean, going into the season, we said one guy can't get hurt, and that guy got hurt before we even played a game. So the season was kind of doomed from that point on. Now, I don't know. Maybe Jalen Lowe wasn't going to do what Pope hoped he was going to do. Maybe JQ wasn't going to do what he was going to do. But like, I have a feeling they were going to probably run a lot of pick and roll stuff with him, with Jalen and JQ, and we would have seen a completely different looking team. I mean, he obviously, JQ's probably the selling point, and Jack, you probably know better than me, was to be the Amari Williams, run the zoom action with him.
Yes.
And they weren't ever able to do that. And by the time JQ came back, they had to change the whole offense because they couldn't rely on Jalen Lowe to be out there and play 25, 26 minutes and worry about his shoulder. So I go back and forth on, did Mark Pope royally screw this up in the off season with his roster construction, or did we just never really see what his vision was? And that's why next year is so critical. That's why, I mean, I'm excited to be here. I'll be excited for the games next week and hopefully the games beyond that. But really, for the last couple weeks, I have just been so anxious to get to this offseason so that we can see what this new team is going to look like. We can see what Mark Pope is going to do, because there's going to be a lot of positions to fill, and you're going to have to do it all through the transfer portal, it looks like. Maybe there's a player playing in the G League or something they could look into, but,
let's have that conversation.
I don't know. Any off the top of your head?
Let's talk, Zach. Kentucky, real traction right now with Dink Pate. Mm-hmm. That's a thing. We know the frustrations with the high school recruiting and the tiring and where things stand with that, and Caleb Holt going elsewhere, Jordan Smith going elsewhere, whiff after whiff after whiff after whiff at the high school level. The traction with Dink Pate is very real. I do think that if I had to put my money where my mouth is right now, I'd say that Dink Pate is going to be a Kentucky Wildcat. But we've also been in this position before where Pope's been in position to close and he hasn't. So let's
Stokes and Collins come to mind.
I feel good about it. I don't feel great about it, but is that enough? Can Kentucky go get a G League All-Star? I believe he was in the All-Star game. Remember they did the combination of the Rising Stars with the G League and all that. So a guy that has been at All-Star Weekend in the NBA, playing college basketball at the University of Kentucky. Your thoughts?
I'm back and forth on Dink Pate, because I think he just turned 20 today, something like that. Like, he's still kind of young, so he's a relatively young kid, but he's got some really cool intangibles. Like, we love to use that word to kind of as like a blanket term for guys that do a lot of things, but he's 6'7".
8-ish.
6 foot.
Say 6'8".
He's 6'8", yeah, just to avoid the memes.
He grew for his birthday.
He's 6'8". He's kind of been labeled as a point guard, but not really a point guard. I think that's just kind of the role he's assumed in the G League a little bit. And I haven't watched enough of him to know if that's why he shoots 36% from the field and turns the ball over 4 times a game, which concerned me in both regards. Shoots under 30% from 3.
Say that out loud.
But 2 years ago, to be fair, in the G League, when on a much lower volume, he shot close to 40% from 3. Like I said, much lower volume. He's got the ball in his hands a lot more right now. That probably won't be the case if he's at Kentucky. If you, let's say, bring back a Jalen Lowe or whoever, get yourself a real point guard to kind of run the show. But I'm back and forth on Dink Pate, because I think he's talented, but I think there's a lot of clear, obvious flaws with him. There's a reason he's playing in the G League and not playing in the NBA or anything like that. There's a reason he's looking to come back to college. None of this stuff is just a coincidence of like, oh, let's just go see and try. Like, he's probably wasn't going to get bumped up to the NBA anytime soon, so he said, I'm going to try and rebrand myself a little bit. Let's see if I can make it in college. And if Mark Pope can turn him into a real draft pick, like, how does that even work? Would he be able to get drafted watch it again? I guess he would. Or I guess he didn't get drafted.
That's one thing I have no idea how.
I don't know the eligible. That's another concern is would the kid even be eligible?
That's what I was like. Is he even going to be?
I'm not as concerned about that because I don't think he's officially signed. It's not a Bediako thing where he actually signed an NBA contract.
He signed an Exhibit 10 contract.
Exhibit 10, so that's
it's a training camp deal, but
you're kind of splitting hairs type
thing. My understanding is it's still an NBA contract, but it's not. NBA is more concerned. The NCAA is more concerned about the two-way instead of the Exhibit 10.
And he didn't get drafted or anything.
They would have to fight his case. And my understanding, they're not a total 100% sure that he would be declared eligible. So I think he would have to commit, sign with Kentucky, and then go through the eligibility process.
Would that be fun?
With a non-zero chance that he's ruled ineligible. So it's a risk. It is.
But I imagine that Pope would go into this having a pretty good idea that he's going to be deemed eligible. Or I think Steven wants to address the class.
Yeah. First of all, I asked Jack's permission to wear my hat backwards for part of the show, but I've, as of right now, turned it around. We're gonna tidy it up a little bit. I did. You said that's fine, but I don't know if you were paying attention. So, is this a desperate move, or do we actually think that Dink Pate is going to be the guy that can lead Kentucky to? I mean, the whole goal of this is to win number 9, right? So is he a guy that can do that, or is this we've struck out everywhere else, so now we have to go this route? Because Mark Pope was not a big fan of this whole G League thing just
6 weeks ago.
Yeah, a few weeks ago.
In fact, ironically, I think it was the press conference that Cam Williams broke his foot that he decided to kind of just randomly start spouting off about the G League. It made no sense in the time. If you happen to put yourself in a position of desperation, why have those quotes to be used against you? It was stupid. It was really, really dumb on his part to do. So yes, I do think it is an act of desperation, but you're Kentucky. Go get the best freaking talent in the world. You missed out on all the other guys. If you have $20+ million to work with again, I don't think the donors are pleased about how this year has gone. I think that's pretty obvious. But I do think that there is we can acknowledge that the roster build here was not what we thought. The injuries played a part. We're going to go one last hurrah. We'll write the checks that you need, but you better freaking get this right, Pope. If you're going to have that type of pressure on you, go get Dink and then give $5 million to Tyron Stokes and say, let's build a super team. Why not? If we're gonna spend $22 million on this roster, spend 40 on next year's roster and say we're Kentucky and you're not.
40. Let's stop at 40. Let's go for.
Let's just do it. Let's just do it.
67 million. There you go.
But there is something to be said about Dink Pate and Tyron Stokes could play together. They are not. I don't.
That scares the hell out of me.
Okay, what's your alternative?
Anything. I mean, I don't know. I guess. I mean, Dink Pate and Tyron Stokes on the same team scares me, though. I think you'd be lying if you didn't say the same thing.
Why?
I mean, Dink Pate's not an efficient player. He turns the ball over, and Tyron Stokes has a reputation of being somewhat of a hothead.
We need that fire.
Yeah, I'm trying. Someone's got to play the bad guy here. We're not just going to sit here and pump sunshine the whole time.
That guy would be awesome on. If I'm Mark Pope, say you're out on Tyron, go get Steinbach from Washington. I've heard
could be an NBA player one day.
I've heard that could be had at a price.
I mean, I think
he's averaging 18.6 points and 11.6 rebounds per game.
I would expect the roster build for next season to just be better from the perspective of getting more shooters. I just think that Pope's realized what he messed up with, and he's just going to go get guys that can shoot the ball a little bit better. And that's probably where it starts. I don't think Stokes and Dink Pate are your best start for that. Maybe you can try and build around those guys and just fill them with shooters around them, and maybe that works. But I think needs to go back to what was working. Get a guy. You're obviously not going to find an Amari Williams out there, but get something similar. A big man who can pass. I'm sure
Hannes Steinbach is the guy that I think, if you're bringing Malachi back,
which he is priority 1A for me, not even close.
Can he turn into an Amari?
Here's my dream. All right, let's talk. I want Malachi to come back. I think that's going to end up happening. It's going to take some back and forth because Malachi deserves
Big fat
he
raise.
deserves a nice little raise, but he also deserves to explore the draft waters. And he's in the conversation. NBA. I have talked to NBA teams that love him.
I'm not crazy, Steven.
That have him on their NBA list, first round list for this year.
Yes.
So it's a conversation worth having. He deserves to have that. He's earned that right. But fight to bring him back. Add a high dollar portal guy. Go, you say, hey, $5 million. Let's go get this done. Go get a Hannes Steinbach. Go get a Tyron. Like if you love Tyron, go close on Tyron, and go get Dink Pay. Like don't. If you're going to spend big on some studs, and then fill out. Pope is so good with the Ansley Almanors and the end of bench guys.
Yep.
He turned Otega Owe into an all-SEC preseason SEC Player of the Year
second team
player.
Robbed the first team, in my opinion.
He got robbed. But that was an evaluation on Pope's part that go get more Otegas, go get more Ansley Almanors, go get your excellent working in that space, but then use your Kentucky money to go get some superstars.
That's it.
That's the formula right there. I look back at that Tennessee game that was played at Tennessee, a top 5 Tennessee team. You look at what Mark Pope started that game. A role player at Fairleigh Dickinson, a role player at Oklahoma, a San Diego. No, he was out. So who was the point guard? Was it the best player from BYU? A transfer from Dayton.
Drexel.
Yeah, did I say Drexel already? Yeah, okay. And then
Drexel and Fairleigh Dickinson.
And they ended up being NBA players, the Dayton and Drexel guys. He took that team to Tennessee. Ansley Almanor played like 30 minutes that game, and they won. And I thought Ansley Almanor wouldn't come off the bench. Like I thought, if you were getting to the point where we need Ansley Almanor, we're going to be in trouble. No, Pope saw something with him, and Ansley Almanor helped win that game and helped win the Mississippi State game. You're absolutely spot on with that. He is good at finding those diamonds in the rough and coaching them up. But to win a championship, I would say you probably got to find the stars too. I hate that the team last year had to deal with so many injuries, because I do think that team was a 2 seed who could have maybe pulled off an upset in an Elite 8 game and gotten to the Final Four. That team was really good. You don't beat Duke at a neutral floor. You don't beat that Florida team the way they did. If they could have avoided injuries, even losing your backup point guard in Kirk Reese was big. If they could have stayed healthy, I know I've said this 100 times, last year's team could have been good. Was good. Could have been great. And could have competed. What was it last year? In Phoenix? Is that where they were at? Was it Phoenix? 2 years ago. Either way, they could have been on the Final Four floor last year. Do you need... I love your formula, but can Kentucky put together a team like they did last year, a team full of shooters, like Zach said, and if they stay healthy, win the SEC?
Yes. Assuming you can land...
You still need the big fish.
I do think you need...
Because the big fish then was what, Jackson Robinson? Like he was the guy?
That was, I think, probably the best big fish that Pope could get at the time.
Yeah.
I think that was his ceiling of superstar. But in year 2 at Kentucky, when you have a proof of concept, the ceiling should have been raised. And that's what Jaden Crames was supposed to be. That's what... It just didn't work out. But I think there's still avenues here for year 3 to go get a Duke or 2 or 3. Go use that money.
Is Deke Pate not fit the billing for that, or is he?
He is Jackson Robinson star level. Which
Jackson was pretty good. I mean, we can,
a good player.
we can say. I mean, he isn't Darius Acuff, but not many people are, I guess.
They're not. We got to start wrapping this thing up.
Can I chime in with something real quick?
But we got to, give them in sample sizes, small samples, because we have a full week to do this. We don't want to just lay it on too thick early and then not be able to, we're going to be fatigued.
Let me give you a nugget real quick here, Jack.
Fatigue can hit us.
Bam Adebayo has 43 points at halftime.
At halftime?
At halftime. Actually, he's at 45 now. The second half just started.
24 hours removed from SGA tying a Wilt Chamberlain record.
Yeah, we're talking about Cal players, but I just had to bring that up. 43 points at halftime.
That's a Kentucky player, not a Cal player.
Yes, it's a Kentucky player, yes. So what were you saying about fatigue? You making a fatigue joke?
Time for our Parlour Pizza pregame predictions.
Ooh, okay.
We're technically supposed to do that for the walk and talk, but it fits. We got to talk about what our predictions
We'll do it again.
Anyway, Kentucky, LSU, round 1 of the SEC tournament, bright and early, 11 a.m. Central Time at Bridgestone Arena. Who do you got? Zack Geoghegan.
I'm going with the Cats, 79-71. That's my official prediction. I think Kentucky covers the spread. I think we're going to get a consistent, regular game from Denzel Aberdine. We're going to have a 26-point game from Ortega away. He's just going to be a regular Ortega. I would love to see Colin Chandler get himself going and rediscover his fire and his shooting after the last 2 games, how those went. Because if he can get going tomorrow, then you can carry that over and maybe figure out a way to get himself some more shots. But I think the three-headed goat have a really good potential to make an impact on this game, and I think Ortega is going to lead Kentucky to victory quite easily. I have an 8-point win, but I think it'll be closer at the end than the score actually says.
Steven Peake, what are we rolling with?
Kentucky wins by double digits. I don't see them. I don't know if it was just playing in Baton Rouge. It wasn't like it was an insane atmosphere or anything. But I think Kentucky, whether they get out to a hot start or not, it doesn't matter. They will eventually pull away. They're much more talented than this LSU team, and they'll at least make it to Thursday. After that, I don't know. I feel good about tomorrow. You'll be
talking Sunday by the time we get to Thursday.
So yeah, halftime tomorrow. But has anybody? I guess no one has ever done 5-5 because there's that hasn't been necessary.
Kemba Walker has.
I'm in the SEC, but yes, good call right here, Kemba Walker. Hey, Georgia Southern won 5-5. They just couldn't do 6-6.
Denzel Aberdeen is going to be our version of Kemba Walker this year. I am going Kentucky 84, LSU 65, a 19-point win to get NCAA tournament rolling. The Cats deserve it. BBN deserves it. This crowd is way too good. Let's go on a nice little run. Let's enjoy ourselves.
I'm down.
Start with a 19-point win for the Kentucky Wildcats to get this thing rolling, and we'll be back, assuming it goes the way we're talking, right back here tomorrow night here at JBJ's.
I think we'll be a floor 2 down, right?
We'll be on the fourth floor, but
there you go.
We'll be in this building all week long. We're looking forward to it. Appreciate their hospitality. Appreciate Parlour Pizza. Appreciate LG&E and KU and SeatGeek for following us along and keeping the lights on for us here down in Nashville while the Broadway lights.
Let's give a shout out to our friends Sydney and Randy for helping hook this up and make this possible for us as well. So shout out to them. This is an awesome spot. So we're excited to spend the next 5 days here.
Day 1 of 6, baby.
6 days. I'm sorry.
Steven Peake, Sunday, right?
And Zack Geoghegan.
C-A-T-S, cats. C-A-T-S, cats.
We'll see you tomorrow. Okay.